I am not kidding when I say doing this has literally changed my life. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Welcome to a new vlog. I'm Lee from Mortgage Freely. I talk about money and mum life on the internet, and I'm really excited today because we are going to do a budget with me. We are going to set up my October budget. I'm going to be showing you my budget spreadsheet, going through how I set it up, and basically putting in our numbers and creating my October budget. So you can see exactly what that looks like. There is one thing that I need to explain before we get started, and that is that we budget as a household, which means that both my husband and my salaries, all of our income, goes into one pot, and we budget from there for the whole household. So we don't have like a his and hers, yours and mine type situation. It just doesn't make sense to my brain. However you want to manage your money is however you want to manage it. It does not make sense to my brain to have his and mine and split it. It's much easier to manage it like this for me. I also feel like it's really important to budget as a household if you are a family where one member of the family has got a reduced income because of taking care of the children. I don't feel like there should be a scenario in which somebody who's taking care of the children in the family and taking on that responsibility should be financially impacted by that decision, because taking care of kids costs money. If that person isn't looking after kids, you have to pay someone to do it. Do you know what I'm saying? So I don't feel like there should be a financial impact on that person, which is why we budget as a household. You might agree with me, you might not. I would love to know your opinions. Drop them in the comments. Now, when it comes to our household situation in terms of income, it's a little bit complicated. It's a little bit messy, I guess. For a long time, I was the higher earner in our relationship. It never caused us an issue whatsoever, but I was the higher earner for a while. Me and my husband actually work in the same organisation, and we actually earn the same amount of money if we were both full-time. However, I am not full-time anymore. I was full-time for a long time, and since we had the kids, I have reduced my hours to spend more time with the children. And now I also have a side business, which is content creation, so I also make money from that. What I'm going to show you today does not involve any of my income from content creation. We do not budget off my income from content creation. And there's a really good reason for that, and that is that content creation is so variable. I think it's like this in any self-employed industry. The income is so variable, it fluctuates, it's up and down. We do not budget off my self-employed income because it is not guaranteed. I could make zero. It's unlikely at this point, but I could make absolutely nothing. In fact, I could be in the minus because I still have expenses that I have to pay on a monthly basis. That is why we do not budget off my income from content creation. What we do what we do with my self-employed income is we actually overpay our mortgage and pay our investments from it, because those are optional. If we can't do that one month, we can't do it. So full-time in my employment is 40 hours. I currently work 27. I'm actually going to reduce those hours further in the coming months, but I'll talk about that in a different video and how we're going to budget and how we're going to manage that. For the purpose of this video, we are going to be budgeting off my 27-hour salary and also my husband's full-time salary. There have actually been a few changes in our fixed expenses, which I will go through with you in this video, because we've actually been able to save over £300 out of our normal budget, and I will explain how as we go through this video. Some of it is good timing and good luck. So when it comes to setting up my budget, I like to keep it simple. I like to keep it really simple. It does not get super complicated, and you will see that as we go through. I basically have 4 main categories. The first is fixed expenses, and what that is essentially our bills and things that we absolutely have to pay. After that, it's variable expenses, which is the money that we live off each month. So I have 4 categories. We'll talk about those as we go through the video. The third is sinking funds. Sinking funds can be done however you want to do them, but what I will say is they're an absolute game changer when it comes to managing your money well. This is an area I really used to struggle with. We'd be going on happily through the year, and then a one-off expense would come, like car insurance, because I actually pay my car insurance annually, or a car service, or a holiday, or Christmas. We know it's coming every single year, but there was no plan. So I'll be scrabbling around to try and find the money for that large bill that only comes once a year. I use my sinking funds to prevent that from happening. The way I personally do it is I have 2 sinking funds. I will show you what those are as we look at my budget. The way I work it out is I will come up with a budget that I want to save for that sinking fund. So how much do I think I'm going to need to pay out over the course of the year? I add that up, divide it by 12, and every month I save that amount of money. And it works perfectly for me because a lot of our expenses are actually in the back end of the year. Our car insurance is in the second half of the year. A lot of the family birthdays are in the second half of the year. Christmas is in the second half of the year. And By the time we get there, we've already got that money saved up. So car service comes, no problem. I've got the money, it's in my sinking fund. Holiday comes, no problem. We've got the money, it's in our sinking fund. Christmas, covered. I am not kidding when I say doing this has literally changed my life. And the final category that I use is financial goals. So that could be overpaying your mortgage, it could be paying off debt, it could be saving for a house, it could be whatever your financial goal is. That is my final category, and that money is built into your budget so that it does not get spent. For me, I now do this from my self-employed income, so you won't see that in this particular budget. So let's get into it and set up my October budget. So for my budget, I actually use this budget spreadsheet. I bought it on Etsy. It cost me 74p. Excuse me, Wednesday, we're trying to do a budget video. Come on, old lady. I know you're mad. What I will say is you do not need a fancy budget spreadsheet. You do not need to spend a lot of money. I have bought more expensive budget spreadsheets. They are not as good as this one. I like to keep it simple. That is the whole theme of my budget. Keep it simple. This one does absolutely everything that I want in a budget spreadsheet. I will link it in the description box. It will be an affiliate link just so that you know, but I will link it in there. Before I was using this, honestly, a pen and paper works fine. I also have this app that I absolutely love. It is called Snoop. There's a free version and a pro version. I personally use a free version at the moment. And what it does is it automatically tracks your spending. You connect your bank accounts to it and it will track your spending. You can categorize your spending. So it is super easy for me to go on, categorize my spending and see exactly how much I spent on shopping, exactly how much I spent in the coffee shop, because that is what I created as my custom category. If you know, you know. What I've spent on petrol, what I spent on groceries. It is so easy to see exactly what I've spent. You can also set up a free budget within Snoop. I haven't personally done that. I love to use it for the spending tracker. Again, I have a link for that and I will add that in the description box. And again, it will be an affiliate link just so that you know. First up, you can put the month. There's a little drop down menu where you can pick which month it is. You can also add the dates. Now, I don't get paid on the first of the month. I'm not sure. Do people get paid on the first of the month? It seems like my payday is a little bit unusual compared to other people's. Do let me know in the comments, when do you get paid? Is it at the first of the month? Is it the last Friday of the month? I don't know. How does it work? Let me know in the comments. I get paid in kind of like the third week of every month. So really this is my September to October budget, but there is more of the month of October that is encompassed by this budget, which is why I call it my October budget. So the first section that we're going to come to is actually the income. Now I budget off slightly lower than what our actual salary is because it can go slightly up and down with different bits and bobs. And I want to make sure that I'm budgeting off the least amount that I expect us to get. So the least amount that I expect myself to get is $1,950, and the least amount I expect my husband to get is $2,650. Now this is actually going to go up a little bit because our organisation got a pay rise, but for the purpose of this video, I'm just going to go through it using these numbers because this is what we've been using and it's all about to change again anyway, so there's no point changing it right now. So this month I actually got paid a little bit more. I actually just got paid just over £2,000 and my husband got paid just over £3,000. That's then going to give us our total amount of income and it's going to populate the field above. Now you will see that the bills section is already populated. I've actually made it so that you can't see the exact amounts for like financial security reasons. However, you'll be able to see the total amount at the bottom. I have left two numbers in because those are two numbers that I want to talk about, which is childcare. This is a major part of our budget. Our childcare bill is huge. In August, I actually paid out more money in childcare than I got paid. But we have had some good news because my son's actually just got his 15 hours funded. I do have a previous video on that if you want to know more about it. Again, I will link it in the description box and you can go and watch that. But he's just got his 15 hours funded, which saved us quite a chunk of money. So that is part of how we've been able to cut quite a bit of money out of our expenses. It is mostly from that. So not everyone's going to be able to do that because it's just good timing. So I've been able to take the amount that I budget for my son's childcare down from £975 a month to £700, which is obviously a great saving for us. I've also reduced my daughter's just a little bit because I was budgeting slightly more for her. I do want to have a little bit more in my daughter's budget than I need because her childcare costs are a little bit seasonal. So most of the time she's in after school club or before school club, like wraparound care at school. But there are times in the school holidays when she has to go to holiday club and it is much more expensive. So I like to have a little bit more going into that account so that I have some money there when it comes to those like seasonal childcare costs. So the total amount of our bills is £2,432. Now, that sounds like a lot, but don't forget almost £1,000 of that is childcare. Let's talk about what is in my fixed expenses because I don't think that there is too much in there that shouldn't be there. So as you can see, we've got council tax, we've got mortgage, we've got utility bills. We have 3 senior cats, so the cat insurance is quite pricey. We also have that. We have childcare on the bottom, we have our 2 mobile phones, we have our broadband, we do have Netflix. We did have a look at the Netflix bill and our option to reduce it would be to go down to a $4.99 plan. We haven't done that just yet because I am not sure that I could cope with the ads on Netflix. On Disney Plus, the ads are almost unnoticeable. But on Netflix, I'm not sure if I want to be watching the ads. Let me know if you have ad-supported Netflix. How do you find it? Let me know in the comments. Then we have my daughter's swimming lessons. Honestly, this is one thing that I think is non-negotiable. My children have to learn to swim unaided for safety reasons. So swimming lessons, I'm just gonna have to suck it up. She's doing them. I'm not even sure that she's a massive fan of them, but obviously we're gonna go on holidays. They need to be able to swim. So that is in the budget we are paying for our swimming lessons. That's kind of a non-negotiable for me. We do pay for YouTube Premium, and here's why it's totally worth it to me. Ambiance videos. You can put on like these videos that are like, you know, cozy cabin ambiance, lakeside cabin, and they can play for like 12 hours. I absolutely love them. Oh, I just find them so calming. It is worth its weight in gold to not have ads popping up in the middle of those. So YouTube Premium is absolutely worth it for me. Then we've got Rainbows, which is a class that my daughter does. Now, what I will say is one of the ways that we saved money on our fixed expenses is we cut out one of my daughter's activities. So she was going to like a martial arts class for kids. However, it was on a little bit late for her. She was really tired when she was doing it. There were times that she wasn't wanting to go. We kept forgetting about it. And also, it was becoming really expensive for what it actually was. So you had to do like gradings, which were honestly just a little bit of a joke at this point. There was uniform to buy, which I bought secondhand, so I didn't waste too much money on that. And essentially what the class was the kids doing a few punches and kicks and then running around playing dodgeball, which I get they're only small, but it just wasn't worth the money that we were spending and the stress that it was causing. So we have actually taken that out of the budget. I really don't believe in overscheduling your kids' lives. I was a sports kid, I did a competitive sport, I know what it's like, and if my daughter wants to do that, that's absolutely fine, but frankly, she was not into this. So until we find another thing that she's really into, we have cut that right out. And honestly, we are all happy for it, and so is our budget. Right, we've got a gardener, and yes, this is a non-essential. However, I would fight tooth and nail to keep our gardener over some of our other services. The reason being, what we were finding was that in summer, when we were going out to our garden, we didn't want to spend time in it, or if we did want to spend time in it, we were ending up doing jobs. So like you'd have to mow the lawn, weed it, do all of this stuff, and it was turning into like a big job and a big mission when you went out there. So you either didn't want to go or you were working in the garden, and there was just no relaxing in the garden. So having the gardener meant that during summer, you're able to just go out to your garden and know it's going to be in a fit state to actually hang out in, which is just priceless. So we do have a gardener built into our budget. However, he's not actually going to be coming over the winter months, so we are going to save money there, but I'm going to leave it in the budget anyway and let that money build up. We also had a cleaner, and before you judge me, the reason that we got a cleaner was because I was struggling postpartum to manage everything. Having a cleaner come just took off that mental load for me. She only came once every 2 weeks for a couple of hours, and she pretty much just cleaned the bathrooms. But not having to do that job was huge for me. However, I am going to be reducing my working hours in the coming months. I'm not going to be at work as much, so I'm going to have a little bit more time to sort of do that maintenance. So we've explained our situation to her and asked her how she feels about going down to once a month, and she's totally happy with it. And it'll save us £26 a month, which is not insignificant. We do have a charity in there, we have some internet storage in there as well. Then we have mobiles, as I mentioned, and Disney Plus. The reason we currently have Disney Plus is that we actually had it completely free for 3 months. We are actually paying for this month on the ad-supported version because the ads are so minimal, you just don't notice them. So we're paying for it this month because we got into Only Murders in the Building. And now it's going to have to stay until we've finished all 4 seasons. But I have seen that we might be able to get it for $1.99 for 3 months. So I need to look into that deal and see if I can get it cheaper for us. Also, I didn't mention, we have Spotify, and we have Spotify Premium because we do use it. We use it offline, etc., etc. I use it in the car. We live semi-rural, so the service isn't great, so having it offline means that it doesn't stop playing, if you know what I mean. But what I did discover is that we were paying £1 a month more for something that we didn't use. So we had Spotify Premium. The only difference apparently between Spotify Premium and Spotify Basic is it's got a selection of audiobooks. We don't listen to audiobooks. So we have gone to Spotify Basic, and it is £1 cheaper, and we have exactly the same usage that we had before. So happy days. So those are all of our fixed expenses, and they add up to £2,432. Then if you remember the next part of my budget, which is variable expenses. Now what I mean by that is that the money that we are going to have to live off. I keep this really simple. I know some people have a lot of categories. I don't, because it just overwhelms me. I have 4 categories, and they are food, fun, miscellaneous, and petrol. So for food, we budget $4.50, so let's pop that in there. For fun, we budget $2.25. For miscellaneous, we budget $2.25. And for petrol, I budget $2.75 because we were overspending. What I will say about food is, Honestly, 450 is an aspirational budget. We have had like Gusto credit for a while now, which we've been using, and we still haven't been sticking to 450. So one, I'm on a plan to cut down my grocery bill. I do a lot of grocery shopping videos. You can check those out. There's a whole entire playlist of them. And two, we have also been getting Gusto as well. So I'm honestly not really sure how it's gonna go when it comes to the grocery bill, but I'm very much working on it. I would like it to be around the 450, £500 mark on a more regular basis. I'm sure that we could do that, but sometimes it feels impossible. Also, something I find that causes me issues when it comes to food is I don't strictly budget food. I basically budget like food and household all in one. So that 450 includes things like washing powder, toilet rolls, which can be quite expensive, cat food, basically anything you can buy in the supermarket is a household necessity. That is what I budget in my food category, which sometimes makes it seem like I'm like, I can't believe we spent so much money on food, but it's not all food, it's also household items. The fun categories for things like coffee shops, taking the kids out for a day out, takeaway, those like non-essential spends that are part of sort of fun, entertainment if you go to the cinema, all that kind of stuff. That is what I count under our fun budget. The miscellaneous categories, random stuff that we need to buy during the month. That might be like pieces of uniform, items of clothing, random things that we need off Amazon, just miscellaneous stuff. Does what it says on the tin, and it's not overly complicated, so it works for me. And the final category is petrol. It's pretty self-explanatory. I'm pretty sure I don't need to tell you what goes in that category. So my variable budget is £1,175, and that will populate over into the budget box at the top. Then we move on to sinking funds, which I put in this savings summary section. I have two main sinking funds. I have a holiday sinking fund. So we save £250 in our holiday sinking fund every month, which will pay for our family holiday, or certainly pay the majority of it, depending on how expensive it is. So we're going to budget £250 in there. I also have an essential sinking fund, which covers things that I know I will have to pay for over the course of the year, but that don't happen on a regular basis like a bill. So for me, a lot of it is car related. We pay our car tax annually, we pay our car insurance annually, we have our car service, we have car MOTs, we have house insurance. I put birthdays in there, I put Christmas in there, and honestly, having an essential sinking fund is one of the best things I ever did. It has changed my life when it comes to budgeting. I literally have nothing more to say about it. I will add up my anticipated cost of all of those things, and I will divide it by 12. That is the money I save each month for that essential sinking fund. So for this one, it is £350 a month at the moment. Honestly, I might need to increase it, but right now it's £350. So we're going to put that into that section. And you can see that that obviously adds up to £600, which again is going to populate up at the top here. And the last section is financial goals. Now on here it says debt. If you're not in debt, you can use this for financial goals. So pre me reducing my hours, I would have had a section here which was for my mortgage overpayment and my investments. Right now I pay those from my self-employed income because if I don't make the money, I just don't pay them. They're actually going to take something out of my budget. So until recently, we had a small credit card balance. It's on a 0% credit card, but we've actually paid it off completely. So we are going to take this completely out of my budget. We do not need to make any credit card payments. We do not have any credit right now. So we are going to remove that from that section. So what you'll see here at the top is that my budgeted amount will add up, and then it tells me how much I've got left to spend, and I've got over £300 left to spend. How I actually deal with this is I use this as a buffer. So we will probably overspend in one or more of our categories, or something unexpected will come up. That is our buffer to try and keep us within my budget. What you can see here at the top is that the amount I budget and the amount we got paid are two completely different amounts. I do not just leave that money there, that extra money. I will work out how much we've been paid more than I budget, and I will remove that money from this equation because it will get spent. If I don't take it out, it will just get spent and frittered away on stuff. So I'm going to take that money straight out of the equation. This month it was £440. So what I did with that is I paid off the last £100 of the credit card, put some extra money back into our emergency fund because we're trying to build that back up after having had maternity leaves. We also had to pay for a really expensive fence not that long ago, so our emergency fund was dwindling. So I am building that back up using this extra money, and also I've put some money aside because we have a date night coming up, and I don't want to be in a scenario where we feel like we can't really enjoy our date night because it's not really within the budget. So I've put that money aside for that date night. So that is where that extra £440 has gone. It has been allocated before we can accidentally spend it. Then what I really love about this particular budget sheet is it actually has a spending tracker section on it. And if you fill in that spending tracker section and you categorize each of your spends, it will automatically pull that information over and update your variable spending. So let's say, for example, that we spend £200 on groceries. It pulls that into this category over here. You can update it at the top and then it will populate this section so you know exactly how much you spent in your budget. So that is my October budget. That is the numbers that I'm going to be working with, and basically it's now on me to try and stick to them, which is always a challenge when it comes to budgeting. The hard part is not setting up your budget and making it look pretty. The hard part is sticking to your budget. And honestly, I do have a hard time sticking to it sometimes. It is not easy. But we really need to get our expenses under control, because from November I am going to be on even more reduced hours. Like, I am taking quite a large pay cut, so our budget is going to look completely different. So definitely check back, click subscribe if you want to see how that's going to look. And that was our very first budget with me, my very first time using a MacBook. Please let me know if you enjoyed this video. Let me know when you get paid in the month. Let me know if you budget like this. Do you budget as a household? Do you budget separately? What are your budget questions? Drop them all in the comments. You have no idea how much dropping a comment on a video like this can help a little channel like mine. I'm Lee from Mortgage Free Lee. I talk about money and mum life on the internet, and I will see you on the next one.